In this video, I will be going over one way to assemble the trigger mechanism from a Ruger 1022. Let's start by removing all the components from the assembly. First, add the trigger plunger spring to the trigger plunger and insert it into the trigger housing. Add the sear to the trigger and secure it with a made guide pin that is no wider than the trigger pivot pin hole. Add the sear spring to the sear. Add the disconnector and secure it in place with the disconnector pivot pin. Lower the trigger subassembly into the trigger housing. Use the trigger pivot pin to push the made guide pin out and secure the trigger subassembly in the trigger housing. Add the hammer spring assembly to the trigger housing. Add the bolt lock spring to the hammer and lower it into the trigger housing. Secure the hammer in place by inserting the trigger pivot pin. Pull the hammer back until it engages on the sear. Rotate the bolt lock spring as shown. Add the magazine plunger to the magazine plunger spring and insert into the trigger housing. Partially secure the magazine latch to the trigger housing with the magazine latch pivot pin. Leave the pin exposed a small amount. Lower the bolt lock into the trigger housing. Push the magazine latch pin all the way home. Rotate the bolt lock spring forward until it contacts the bolt lock. Depress the bolt lock spring and add the ejector pivot pin to the trigger housing but leave it partially exposed. Add the ejector to the trigger housing and secure by pushing the ejector pivot pin all the way home. This concludes the assembly of the trigger mechanism for a Ruger 1022.